The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
And we do begin this morning with the weather and the blustery winds that were whipping up trouble all day across Kern County. The National Weather Service issued a red flag warning in the San Joaquin Valley as winds picked up yesterday afternoon. The blowing dust was so bad in some areas, Caltrans closed southbound Highway 14 and southbound Sierra Highway because of reduced visibility. In addition to the danger on the roads, high winds and drought conditions making for extremely bad air quality and high fire risk.
The heightened fire conditions that we have, everything's been dried out for quite a while. We haven't had very much rain within the last couple months, so that's always a hazard.
Several minor car accidents were reported around the county because of the blowing dust.
Meantime, health experts say the strong winds also contribute to an increased risk of contracting valley fever.
This is the peak of the valley fever season, and when we have a day like this with the wind blowing, we call it a coxy day, because almost inevitably the spores that are in the dirt that cause coccidioidomycosis, or valley fever as it's more commonly known, are going to definitely be blowing around in the air, and the risk of catching the disease on a day like today is clearly going to be higher.
Dr. Royce Johnson, medical director of the Valley Fever Institute at Kern Medical, says everyone's at risk on a day like yesterday, and he expects a spike in new cases. He recommends keeping your windows closed and making sure your air filters are working properly.
There is some good news this morning. Pacific Gas and Electric says its meteorologists began issuing an all clear for portions of areas affected by safety shutoffs. Those shutoffs, which impacted about 600 homes and businesses here in Kern County, are no longer active.
And we're following some developing news in Santa Barbara County, where a brush fire is burning near El Capitan State Beach. The Alisal fire broke out yesterday afternoon near Alisal Reservoir. It's already scorched at least 3,700 acres and is 0% contained. Officials say the fire jumped Highway 101 yesterday, shutting it down in both directions. Evacuations are underway for the Refugio Canyon area, as well as El Capitan State Park and the El Capitan Campground east to Dos Pueblos Canyon. The fire is being fanned by strong winds, as you can imagine, and may be threatening as many as 100 structures, including ranches and homes. Meantime, another wildfire ripped through 30 homes at a marina in Sacramento County yesterday. So far, the Brannan Island wildfire has scorched at least 40 acres and is just 30% contained. Evacuation orders have been issued. Your time's 5:07. The State Department of Justice has opened up an investigation into the massive oil spill that dumped tens of thousands of gallons of crude oil into the ocean. Attorney General Rob Bonta and Democratic Senator Alex Padilla held a press conference yesterday after touring the beaches and waters around the spill. Bonta said his team will conduct a full investigation to determine who's responsible for the disaster. Authorities believe a ship's anchor may have scraped the pipeline some time ago, causing a crack that grew worse over time. Attorney General Bonta says he does not know if the investigation will warrant criminal or civil action.
We don't know yet, but we will go wherever the facts lead us. We will apply the applicable law, and if there is a violation of the law, we will hold folks accountable.
Meantime, beaches in Huntington reopened yesterday as cleanup operations are still underway. This comes after water quality test results showed no signs of oil contaminants in the water.
From our 17 follow-up file this morning, a father-to-be who died in a motorcycle accident over the weekend was remembered last night. The biker community came together to support the family of 26-year-old Nicholas Armstrong. They gathered near White Lane and Ash Road, the area where Armstrong was killed Sunday night. Police say the driver of an SUV was making a U-turn when Armstrong hit the side of that SUV. He was killed in the crash.
Nick was a very passionate person. He was a man of virtue. He loved one woman. Leaves behind a pregnant wife. Never going to have the opportunity to be a true father himself. But I have children, and you couldn't ask for a better uncle.
Never be thankful.
Armstrong's family urges drivers to be more aware of motorcycles so accidents like this don't happen again.
Meantime, we now know the name of a man who died in a car accident in South Bakersfield. It happened just after 4:30 Saturday morning on East Panama Lane near Cottonwood Road. Police say 25-year-old Carlos Duarte Jr. drifted into oncoming traffic and his vehicle crashed into another car. The driver of the other vehicle was not hurt.
Now to our 17 News homicide tracker, and the district attorney's office says they're investigating the death of an inmate at Kern Valley State Prison. According to the coroner, 26-year-old Jose Aviles died of multiple blunt force injuries back on September 9th. No suspect information has been released. The Office of the Inspector General is also investigating the incident. This brings our number of homicides in Kern County this year to 111.
For the third time in a week, a student has been arrested on suspicion of making a threat of violence aimed at a local school. Independence High School was placed on lockdown, and a student was arrested for a gun threat last Thursday, according to Kern High School District. District officials say around 4 p.m., multiple students called the dean's office to report a student was on campus with a gun. Kern High School District Police sent officers to the campus and the home of the student. Officers say they found the student at home in possession of a weapon. The teen was arrested. Last week, police arrested a 13-year-old student for threatening students and staff at Tevis Junior High and a 14-year-old for making threats against students and staff at Thompson Junior High School. Police said in those cases that the threats were not credible.
Recapping our top stories on this Tuesday morning, like Kev talked about, those fierce winds whipped up trouble across Kern County yesterday. The blowing dust was so bad in some areas, Caltrans closed southbound Highway 14 and southbound Sierra Highway because of that reduced visibility. Several minor car accidents were reported around the county because of the blowing dust. We're following some developing news in Santa Barbara County where a brush fire is burning near El Capitan State Beach. The Alusal fire broke out yesterday afternoon near the Alusal Reservoir. It has scorched at least 3,700 acres and is 0% contained. A father-to-be who died in a motorcycle accident Sunday was remembered last night. The biker community came together to support the family of 26-year-old Nicholas Armstrong. Police say the driver of an SUV was making a U-turn when Armstrong hit the side of the car. His family urged drivers to be more aware of motorcycles while on the roads.
And now to the latest on the pandemic. People who got vaccines made by Moderna and Johnson & Johnson could soon learn if they'll be able to get a booster shot. And today, health officials are calling the development of a new antiviral pill to treat COVID-19 a potential game changer. NBC's Chris Pallone is in Washington with the latest.
Maddie, good morning. It's a busy month for the FDA and CDC as those agencies consider approving new vaccine booster shots, vaccines for children under 12, and now a potential new pill, which would be the first to treat COVID.
That way.
Next up in the fight against COVID-19, boosters for people vaccinated with the shots from Johnson & Johnson and Moderna. An FDA advisory panel will meet Thursday and Friday to review the data and decide whether those manufacturers should join Pfizer in offering recipients additional protection. Health experts say some sort of approval is likely.
If I were to predict something, I think that they might take a similar route to what was taken with Pfizer, just to align the two mRNA vaccines and not cause more confusion, but we'll have to wait and see.
And there's guarded optimism that there could be a new tool available to fight COVID-19 by the end of the year. Drug maker Merck has applied for emergency use authorization for an antiviral pill to treat COVID. The company says it cuts hospitalizations and deaths in half for unvaccinated patients with early symptoms. The government has committed to buy nearly 2 million doses, but 67 million people in the U.S. are unvaccinated.
Maybe this will keep you out of the hospital to the tune of 50% reduced risk. So nothing like the vaccines, which are 90+% effective at doing the same thing.
Today, some signs of progress. New infections are down 53%. Daily deaths and hospitalizations are declining too.
Happy Halloween! Here we go.
Health officials even say it's safe for most children to go trick-or-treating this Halloween, but warn they should stay away from crowded indoor parties. If that FDA panel does approve vaccine booster shots for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, then the CDC would take up those recommendations starting next Wednesday. In Washington, Chris Pallone, 17 News.
And out of the coronavirus in Kern County, another grim update from public health yesterday as we learned of another 10 lives lost due to the virus. 1,592 people have died from COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. Public Health also announced another 747 new cases. A reminder, the department does not release new numbers on Saturday or Sunday, so these numbers encompass all new confirmed cases and reported deaths from over the weekend. There are 235 people in local hospitals with more acute symptoms of the virus and 69 in the ICU.
Kern Public Health is opening a vaccine clinic at the fairgrounds later today. Public Health says they saw a lot of success through their vaccine clinic during the Kern County Fair, administering 370 shots. Now that the fair is over, the vaccines are set to continue. The walk-up clinic will be open today through Friday from 10:30 in the morning till 6 p.m. Pfizer vaccines will be available for everyone 12 and older.
The fairgrounds has been absolutely fantastic. From day one, as soon as the vaccine became available, they were our place to come. They helped us out with testing even before vaccination was available, and then we had our mass vaccination clinic here where we ran both drive-through and walk-up vaccination clinics. We vaccinated over 100,000 people through the fairgrounds, which was phenomenal, and without the fairgrounds we wouldn't have had the ability to vaccinate so many people in a small period of time.
Public Health is also offering free flu shots at the fairgrounds. You're encouraged to make an appointment at myturn.ca.gov, but an appointment is not required. Meantime, Adventist Health Bakersfield is offering free childhood immunizations against vaccine-preventable diseases at a number of sites later this month. The next one is set for tomorrow from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. in the Kern County Department of Human Services parking lot on East California Avenue. Children over the age of 5 require an appointment. For more information, just visit kget.com.
5:37 now. We continue our coverage of the eviction moratorium and its lingering effects on our community. New regulations are in effect, making it harder to get tenants evicted, even if they withheld paying rent. The rules say property owners can sue and evict their tenants for not paying rent starting this month if the owner first applies for rental assistance for their tenant or are denied the funds by the government program. But even so, Kern County Sheriff's Office has been issuing evictions throughout the pandemic.
So far processed about 1,200 evictions since the beginning of the year. We should see a slight increase, but we've been doing evictions all this time since pretty much the pandemic started.
Property owners will be able to take their tenants to court starting April 1st of next year to get rent not paid prior to October 1st.
The Mission at Kern County is celebrating the opening of their new Women and Children's Transitional Home. The Mission held a ribbon-cutting ceremony and open hours yesterday for the Lee and Christina Jameson Transitional Home for Women and Children. The program helps women and children who are homeless or addicted to continued treatment and recovery for an additional year after participating in their recovery program. The Mission says the home on China Grade Loop will be a safe environment for the families to continue to gain the tools needed to move forward into an independent life into permanent housing.
The Kern County Veterans Stand Down event is back after being canceled last year due to COVID-19 restrictions. The California Assistance Foundation is hosting the event this Thursday at Strambler Park. The Stand Down is a safe retreat for veterans, including homeless vets, to get support on services and renew their health and overall well-being. There are meals, clothing, haircuts, medical assistance, employment and housing assistance, and much more. Gates open at 8 a.m. and the event goes until 3 p.m.
A celebration of life service will be held later this week for Pastor Harry Go. Pastor Go passed away on September 28th. Go came to Bakersfield in 1962, where he established the Bakersfield Chinese Church and then built and extended the First Church campus at 2010 O Street. This congregation became the Bakersfield Community Church and is now entering its third generation as the Garden Bakersfield. Pastor Go is survived by his children, Karen Go, mayor of Bakersfield, and Dr. David Go, co-lead pastor of the Garden. His memorial service is set for this Friday at 11 a.m. at the Garden in downtown Bakersfield.
The Blessing Corner Ministries received a big boost yesterday to help save their building on Union Avenue. The United Way of Kern County presented them with a $20,000 donation.
Where we are serving, we're right in the midst of so many needs, and one of the things that we've observed is that there are not only families that come to us for the various items that's needed, but these families come to us with children, many of whom live in these motels up and down Union Avenue.
United Way of Kern County has partnered with the Blessing Corner in past community events and have seen firsthand the hard work that they put in to serve the underserved individuals in Kern County.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.